bless, it will be blessed. Those who curse, it will be cursed. Why? Because Schofield told you that? The Schofield Bible? You know who he was? A Mason.
First of all, the Apostle Paul tells Titus to avoid arguments about genealogies. The name of today's episode is The Truth. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Vic.
And my name is David.
And we are your hosts of the V.D.R. podcast. What is really good?
What's really good, America? What's really good, world? Today we have a great topic today from the greatest podcast in the world, the number one podcast ever. This is the best podcast. So right now, tune in, have your kids watch, tell them to turn that crap off, tell them to stop watching Disney, all those pedophile shows and all that garbage they're watching, and tell them to put all that crap. Tell them they could watch the V.D.R. podcast where they can be educated. Real education starts here. Let's go.
Great. Before we get started, click on that like, subscribe, and share button on YouTube, the V.D.R. podcast, for our video. You support us. Free to do it. Yes, all it takes is a click. Number 2, go to our audio. Go to our Podbean, vdrpodcast.podbean.com. You will never miss an episode there. If you follow us on Apple or on Spotify, click that follow and you'll never miss an episode. I'm going to say our genre is pretty unique. We talk about some serious topics happening in today's world. Very serious, but at the same time, you got to learn how to be a little loose. There's a little combination of both. A little entertainment, but a little seriousness. Let's roll. Today's episode is episode 54. It's called Current Events and Pop Culture Icons. Let's freaking go. So, first order up. So, Dave, all over TikTok, all over the Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, it's a little bit, I'm not saying it's not misinformation, but it's a different story being put out there. So there was a whole thing of child trafficking going on a Disney cruise line ship.
Yeah.
And all those folks are being locked up, being captured based on that one Disney cruise line. And you have a lot of influencer and people on TikTok, all types of people saying, oh, this is child trafficking. So what I did was they were only saying part of the story, not the whole story. It's not really trafficking. It was about possession of illegal items, of child pornography and illegal things. That is illegal. And so the real story is Customs and Borders Protection. They not only keep us safe at the border, but they ensure nothing illegal gets into our nation. Right? Yeah. So there was a sting operation. All right. So I'm going to tell you, here's a downplay on it. The federal authorities detained 27 international crew members, including some aboard the Disney cruise line ship. That means there were a lot other cruise lines. The Disney Magic, that's what the name of the ship was. Following a sting operation targeting child sexual abuse material. The acronym is called CSAM, Charlie Sierra Alpha Mike, CSAM. Between April 23rd and April 27th, the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Agency boarded 8 cruise ships at the port of San Diego on the West Coast, bro.
Wow.
And so here's some key facts about this investigation. The operation. So federal agents interviewed 28 crew members, determined that 27 of them were involved in the receipt and possession and distribution of viewing child pornography. Freaking sickos.
Freaking sick.
The suspects, detained crew members, included 26 individuals from the Philippines, 1 from Portugal, and 1 from Indonesia. Wow. The outcome. Federal government canceled their visas, deported all 27 individuals to their home countries to be tried for their criminal, in their homeland. Rightfully so.
Disgusting.
So the clear difference, because there's some confusion out there. They're talking about trafficking kids on the Disney Magic Cruise Line. That's not the case. That is not accurate information. We're going to say accurate information is the difference between trafficking and possession is while early rumors online labeled this child trafficking a scandal, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol characterized the investigation as an enforcement operation specifically targeting child sexual exploitation materials. Authorities have not publicly identified any child victims or indicative that any trafficking occurred aboard these ships. So, great job, Border Patrol Agency, for doing the right thing, getting dirtbags out of our country back to their country to be tried for these crimes. But it's really important, bro. When you're saying something online, sometimes you gotta say the right thing because it might come off as crazy, right? But freaking dirtbags. What are your thoughts on these freaking dirtbags?
I would hate
doing this on international cruise line ships.
I would hate to go back to the Philippines to get tried for possession of child pornography. One thing is going to prison here, the United States. It's I would hate to be the one going to a foreign prison right now,
bro.
Yeah.
You ain't lying.
These pedophiles can't even walk the yard. They can't even walk general population. Imagine over there. So I would hate to be going to jail Indonesia right now, or it was the Philippines, Portugal. I would hate to go in those prisons, and people don't know those prisons and outside the U.S. I would hate to be them right now. All right, and these guys are sick, man. I get it. Yes, I think what happens is we have to be careful. You got to understand. I understand why I understand why they posted it that way, child trafficking in Disney. Because remember Disney has been.
Oh yeah, they got bad rep.
They have. Remember, right now, you got to understand. And Disney has a bad reputation right now.
Yes, they do,
pertaining to pedophilia. Right.
Yes.
Yep. That's why. Exactly. All that stuff in Disney and Hollywood, Russell. Right now, it is. Their reputation has been tarnished. That's what's happened. So right now, because remember, right now, child trafficking, right? Right now, the biggest problem in the world, is not drugs. A lot of people for years been saying, drugs. They've been saying that drug trafficking has been the biggest problem. No, it's not in the world. It's not the biggest problem in the world. Yeah. I disagree. It is one of the problems.
Yeah.
But child trafficking is one of the biggest problems in the world. It is. It's one of the biggest. It's been going. It's just one of the biggest problems we have in the world, especially in our country. And so right now, because Disney, we gotta understand, because Disney and all of them has been connected to all those things. Because remember, they've been connected to them.
Yeah, man. So for the last couple of years, you're right.
So you gotta understand. And you got to understand, and yes, all right, maybe the topic might have been wrong. Maybe they put the wrong, maybe the topic was wrang, but I understand, why people are feeling that way.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But, I get it. First of all, these guys are sick. These guys are sick, man. So they deserve what's coming to them, because I can imagine the victims. You're selling child pornography, right? Those kids in those videos, they were trafficked.
Yeah,
that's the sad part.
Yeah,
they were trafficked, and these guys, they go. These are people with money. They go on the dark web, and they buy this stuff, but you know what it is? Because what makes it bad is they did it on a Disney cruise ship,
right?
So you got to understand. You got
double the trouble,
because Disney is such in a hot seat right now. That's just my take. I believe why they probably put it out like that, in the first place. But at the end of the day, it's still sick. These guys are sick. All right, these guys, God knows God knows how they're gonna get tried.
Yeah.
I hope they get the death penalty. I'm just gonna say it straightforward.
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody says. Me, in my opinion, we should do that in the United States. It should be like that here in the United States, too.
Well, I'll tell you,
child trafficking, my thing is, I believe if it was up to me, if anything were like any crimes against children, I believe you should be, that should be the automatic death penalty.
I tell you what, in the New Testament, our Lord Jesus Christ said verbatim, if you hurt one of these little ones, it was better for you not to be born. What do you say? Tie a millstone around your neck and get dropped in the sea. It was better for you not to be born if you hurt one of these little ones.
There's something.
I just feel that, like, I'm here said it's a severity of hurting innocence at that age.
It's horrible.
And unfortunately, this is graphic. We're talking about babies to, yes, preteen and teenage kids, male and female. It is sickening.
Bro, the trauma it brings on them. And and people that suffered through that in their life, trafficking, being,
Yeah.
human bro, the trauma it brings to them. These, you become traumatized right after that.
Man, split personalities, all sorts of things.
And it's sad, and it's just it gets me angry. I get angry. That's why I get so mad. I get angry when it has anything. That's why I can't take it. I'm sorry to say it. I don't care. In America, the same thing in America. We don't have a fentanyl problem. People say, well, we have a fentanyl problem. We do have but the biggest problem we have a pedophile. We have a pedophile problem in our country,
right,
in the world. I believe pedophilia is the biggest problem we have. It's not drugs. It's not the biggest problem. I will argue that. They just say that. I know why they're saying that. They're just saying that because some of these, some of these people that went on Epstein Island and all that crap, of course they're going to say that. Some of these people that, because, they're judges, and some of them are judges and politicians. Of course you're going to say, no, drugs, fentanyl is the biggest problem. No, it's not.
And we're going to talk about this in another episode, but like the guy, Representative but Thomas Massey lost recently the election in Kentucky, but he brought up some legitimate concerns. Hey, here are some names. He dropped names based on the Epstein files that have been released to the public. Why isn't an investigation happening? And we're talking about people being abused, minors being abused at the end of the day.
That's exactly.
And we're going to talk about that in another episode, but telling you. So, if you did not know, next topic number 2, we're going to talk about the Hulk Hogan Netflix documentary. Man, my brother and I are lifelong wrestling fans. We just don't like the characters. We enjoy the industry, the business of wrestling, the story writing of wrestling. We could be wrestling historians, bro. We go way back to when it started. Not just the Attitude Era. Before that, we studied wrestling for a long time.
I've been watching this thing since I could watch TV. Since my mind was able to remember. You know how long I've been watching wrestling? I've been watching. I was watching it before the Attitude Era.
Exactly.
When they had Yokozuna, when they had freaking. I'm talking about. I'm giving
Doink
old
the
names.
Clown.
Doink the Clown. Yokozuna, Bam Bam Bigelow, Vader, and Jake the Snake was actually still wrestling too.
Jake the Snake. Undertaker was brand new back then.
And I remember Undertaker.
Shawn Michaels was brand new back then
when they were young.
Mm-hmm.
And Bret Hart. I'm Bret Hart, and this is when
Owen Hart.
I was watching when Kevin Nash was Diesel, when Scott Hall was Razor Ramon. The whole point is, Legion of Doom. I could go on and on. All right,
we could go on and on.
I could go on and on about it. So that's why I don't care. Nobody says, my opinion about wrestling is more valid than people think. So that's how long we've been watching this.
I'm just telling you, man. We've been around for a long time. We've seen different eras of wrestling. If you were born after 2001, you should reserve your comments to yourself.
Right now.
You only saw, maybe you were old enough to see wrestling starting around 2015 or 14. I don't know.
Listen.
You barely know who Roman Reigns is. That's pretty much who you grew up watching. I'm going to
call for what it is. If you're a wrestling fan born 2000s, you don't know crap about wrestling.
There it is.
They don't know crap. The crap they post on the internet, and then some of these young wrestling influencers, the crap they say, it boils my blood. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, that should be you were born in 2000s. You should not be starting a channel on wrestling. You should not be talking about wrestling history. Just don't do it.
So, yes, I totally agree.
Jesus.
There's some conviction about that because we see we're going to talk about this later on in the Hulk Hogan thing. We're going to get to it. Let's get to it.
Get these.
So Hulk Hogan, the reason why we want to talk about the Hulk Hogan Netflix documentary, one, because it touches pop culture. We talk about what's happening, right?
Yes.
Hulk Hogan not just impacted the wrestling industry, the business of wrestling, he impacted the world of pop culture. He was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
The very first one.
The first wrestler outside.
He paved before The Rock was Hollywood, it was Hulk Hogan who was international. Remember that. There's always one to pave the way for everybody. So, mad respect for Hulk Hogan, what he did for the sport, for the business and sport of professional wrestling. Episode 1 is the rise about Terry, who we know as the Hulkster, right? It's about his early life, the discovery of wrestling, where he was born, and the Hulk Hogan persona, how that came about. The Hulkster is from Tampa, Florida, from an Italian family.
Yeah.
And as we know it, he grew up in music.
Yeah.
And he discovered wrestling.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
He discovered wrestling. Here we go. He gets started wrestling in the mid-70s. He starts wrestling. He wrestles people like Andre the Giant. That's before the Big Show, guys. He was one of the
Jerry
OGs.
the King Lawler.
Jerry Lawler.
Y'all forget Jerry the King Lawler. Jerry the King song. You know, he came up with he came up with these legends up there, you know.
Jerry the King Lawler, bro, is a legend himself.
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Remember, Dusty Rhodes was, at that time, Dusty Rhodes was on the rise too at this time. And when he was Dusty was on the rise at that time.
Yep. Superstar Billy Graham, that was his time when he came up with him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Billy Graham, that's right. He came, yeah.
Exactly, right? And so, obviously, he did a bunch of the indies, right? Different promotions. He lands in WWE, formerly known as WWF at the time, with Vince McMahon Jr. He worked for his father previously, left his father, did the Rocky movie, which is was a great movie. He did a Rocky movie. His son buys the business from his father, who we know as Vince McMahon, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He buys it from his father. Right?
Yep.
Hires Hogan. Hogan and Vince McMahon flips wrestling upside down and just impacts like pop culture like no other, bro.
He took wrestling remember, because you got, at that time, remember, they had territories.
Yeah.
And before Vince McMahon, Jr., which he is Jr., before he bought it for Vince Sr., it was just a territory, I think around like New York, Connecticut.
Yeah.
It was in Connecticut. It was just a territory.
New York guy. They were like the New York guys.
New York? Yeah, it was around that, right? It was just remember, wrestling had territories at that time. It's not like, it's just so, but Hogan changed wrestling. He transcended wrestling, meaning he changed it. The way at that time, how people knew wrestling.
His persona was so big, it transcended the sport of wrestling all by itself. It really did. It got Hollywood's attention when they did Rocky Balboa, when they did that role in that movie. He became a literally an international superstar.
That's right.
Not just a superstar, a celebrity internationally.
Yes.
And every country he was known. Every country in the world. That was not normal for wrestlers. Granted, we say Ric Flair is the greatest wrestling champion of all time, but Ric Flair was only known in the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, just like The Rock did, bursted out of wrestling and transcended into pop culture.
I would say Hulk Hogan was the first megastar in wrestling. He was the first megastar. You know what I mean? He was, remember, before it was Stone Cold, before The Rock, we're talking about, and I'm naming megastars right now.
Yeah.
These are megastars. And, he was the first one. Even, don't get me wrong, Andre, yes, even though Andre the Giant was the one that put him over, he did. But even though Andre the Giant, even though he was popular, he was a star, in his era at that time.
At the end of his life, he became...
At the end, but even though he was the guy, he was the man. He was the man at that time.
But he wasn't a megastar.
He wasn't as big, but Hogan took wrestling to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
He took it to a national stage. That's the difference. He was the first one to take it to a national stage.
And Vince McMahon is obviously a billionaire entrepreneur now, right? In this stage of his life. He is an entrepreneur.
Guy's a wrestling genius.
He's a wrestling genius. He is a genius.
I don't care what these allegations were against him. At the end of the day, this man was a wrestling
He's
genius.
a wrestling genius. You can't teach that, bro. It's just he's a phenomenon all by himself. The mind of wrestling and entertainment is nothing. Vince McMahon is the man, right? He included what? MTV.
Oh yeah,
pop culture. When MTV started when MTV was on the rise.
Yes.
Remember, that was a new television program.
I
right?
remember MTV.
And so, remember, a new program. You got rock, hip hop, pop. Vince saw that as an opportunity to put that with wrestling. Late night shows. He exploded, and Hogan exploded. His personality was so big, it was too big for wrestling, bro. He sold merch like no other.
Hogan ruled the 80s in wrestling. He ruled the 80s. And when they came in the 80s, even though there was other superstars I'm sure in the 80s you had you had your stars like Roddy Piper, and I'm going outside the WWF at that time. You had Dusty, because Dusty was
Ric Flair,
and you had the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yeah. But I will argue, they were doing even though they were doing their thing, but I don't care. But Hogan ruled the 80s, meaning that he was the face. I will argue.
He was the face of the industry.
He wasn't just the face of WWE. He was WWF at that time, right? He wasn't just the face of WWE. He was I like how you just said it. He was the face of wrestling, period.
Yes.
That is megastar status.
He represented the industry.
Because what other company was it at that time? Was it the NWA?
NWA.
Remember?
And WCW.
Yeah. WCW at that time, WCW had their thing, right?
Yep.
I think WCW was just kind of like...
They were a small one, but NWA was the other
WCW was just a little territory. But at that time, NWA was because remember, at that time, NWA was also that company too. That was second, and it was, we could say it was kind of like the competition in a sense. It was. But they didn't have that megastar but Hogan was just. But at that time, people, when they saw wrestling, they knew Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, yeah, and just like the documentary shows it, all the other wrestlers that worked with him, his colleagues, they loved working on the card that night. They knew they were making money when Hulk Hogan was on the card. Right.
That's right.
At the end of the day, that's how it works in wrestling. So there's a transition. The 80s passed, the 90s come. There was a different stage in just pop culture in general, right? In the 90s, people were like, the beginning of reality TV kind of started, right?
Yeah.
The very beginning stages. And he became Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He was no longer a babyface good guy. He jumped over to be Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And guess what? I would gather to say one of the greatest heels of all time.
Oh my God.
Because no one made such a heel turn so dramatic. Only outside person I can remember right now in current history is John Cena, but it still was not as big as Hogan's.
Yeah, as Cena, I agree.
He's the only one I can compare it to.
As big Cena wasn't not bigger. Listen, you know why? You got to give Hogan credit. Not only at one point he was the face of WWF. He jumped to WCW. And remember, before he was Hollywood Hulk Hogan. This was before he became Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because remember, when he first went to WCW, right?
He was still his regular self, the Hulkster.
He still had, the Hulkamania. He was still hanging on to the whole Hulkamania persona, But if you notice, the moment he became Hollywood Hulk Hogan, that's when he started the NW and all that. Listen, he changed wrestling again.
Twice. 2 times.
No, he did.
2 times by himself.
And this was 1996.
Yep.
In 1996, WCW we gotta admit, in 96, WCW became the wrestling show to watch at that time.
Yes, sir.
Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, he changed wrestling again. Obviously, with the help of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, right?
Yeah, of course.
You got to give them credit, and that's when he formed the NWO. And even as a heel, I like the Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I thought Hollywood Hulk Hogan was cool. But that's what I'm saying. He was the face.
2 times.
He was the face of 2 companies. That's what I'm saying. I'm not, like you said, John Cena, I respect John Cena. I think John Cena, you got to give John Cena credit, he did it for, the
No, legitimately wrestling-wise, right? Because John Cena's starting to act and do stuff now.
Yeah.
As a wrestler, he is the greatest champion of all time. That's a fact.
I give John Cena credit. He was very popular. You got to give him.
He did the work and did the championship well, and he sells a good story every time.
And he did it for a long time. That's why
time.
That's why I give him credit for it. He did do it for a long time. But
the only other person that does it at the level John Cena does currently is still Roman Reigns. He's the only other one
at this point. Yes, I definitely.
No one
agree.
can do it at that same
right
level.
now. It's Roman.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it. I don't care. I don't care what these little Cody fans say. Call me what you want, a Cody hater. I'm not a Cody hater. I don't care what nobody says. Cody ain't doing it.
He was great. He was good in the come up, but he don't got the.
I'm calling it for what it is. Cody ain't doing it.
He don't got it, bro.
Cody ain't doing it, and I want these fans. I want these little Gen Z Cody fans to understand what I'm saying. Cody is not the face of the company right now. I don't consider, right now, Roman Reigns is really what's holding WWE together. I don't care what nobody says.
Yes, yeah.
Listen, I'm going to call, I know this ain't, I'm not getting off topic, but I'm going to say this real quick. There's a reason why the last WrestleMania, there's a reason why Roman Reigns and CM Punk, they moved the main event to Sunday.
Yep.
For the heavyweight title. And then Saturday, come on, man. Then Cody and Randy Orton, and they had Cody on Saturday, and they have him on SmackDown. I'm throwing that out there, and they have him on SmackDown now. There's a reason why. So, now going back to Hogan, I just had to throw that out there. I'm sorry, he ain't doing it.
Hey,
he ain't doing it. The only reason he has the title, real quick, the only reason he have a title because right now they got nobody else at this point, and he is the.
You know what I think?
Closest.
I honestly think it's a business thing where he's selling merch, so they're keeping him with the belt.
It's just, I guess kids like the dude, whatever. Yeah. I guess kids like him.
It's all good, man.
Think,
But I before we transition to the controversial part of Hogan's life, his career and his life. He changed the face of wrestling 2 times.
2 times.
And guess what that forced WWE back then to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had their Attitude Era was born.
Yes.
You had Steve Austin, you had D-Generation X, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, all those guys, The Rock.
Yeah.
Undertaker became the American Badass. He wasn't no longer the dead man.
Yeah.
He changed his persona, the biker stuff. The last episode of the Hogan documentary on Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were bringing up all the controversy. This is what our show's about. All the controversial stuff. They're talking about how he was a racist. He dropped the N-bomb. He came out to publicly apologize to it. You have a bunch of, triggered Gen Zs and millennials, just keep it real. Some millennials who are triggered, probably mostly Democrat from California or Los Angeles. Who knows? Just throwing it out there, man. You never know.
If you're
from Oregon, I don't know.
Far left, you were triggered by Hulk.
You were definitely triggered
by Hulk Hogan.
But he came out, he owned his mistake, said sorry, apologized. You have other superstars like he's a Hall of Famer, Booker T. He's a Hall of Famer. He understood what happened. He knows Hogan's not racist. He worked with him before. And guess what? He came out of record saying, nah, bro, Hogan's still the best. He's not racist. Yeah, he messed up, but it is what it is, bro. You got to move on from it.
But you know what's crazy? You know what kills me?
And Booker T, guys, is the African-American WWE Hall of Famer.
Listen, when I was watching the Netflix documentary on Hogan, right? I could tell they were still trying to crap on him. Like,
the director was sure trying to crap on him for sure.
Like, going back to the whole racist statement, I'm like, there's a video of it. He literally apologized for it, bro. Like, and he came out, he came out for it. And the man's like, listen, I messed up, and I messed up, and he acknowledged he was wrong. Listen, I don't care nobody say Hulk Hogan was not racist, bro. I know darn well he wasn't racist.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious, you know?
It's pretty obvious.
It's just today, you know what happens? That's what happens today, because I'm called for this. When you're a liberal,
pretty much,
when you're in your liberal in your 20s, and you're so far left in your mind, all right? And you know, when you believe everything CNN says, it's sad to say it. When you believe everything the media says, and you go by that, and you know, because you hate Trump so much, because I think that's what it is, because people hate Trump so much, when they would use everything, because it's not just him the race now, and because he put out his support for Trump, you know, I believe that's why they do. So they thought by doing that was going to tarnish his reputation, and they're dumb. Like, not really. It does.
Bro.
You are not. It did not diminish his legacy, bro.
Not at all.
At the end of the day, everybody knows that. So, and I think that's the problem I have with these new wrestling fans today that were born in 2000s. They don't understand that.
I was born in 2006, bro.
Bro, these little whiners.
You could be my son.
2006, I was in high school. I was 17 years old, brother. All right, you know, on the way. You weren't even, bro. You didn't even when they grew up in a PG-13 era, they don't know nothing about wrestling, dude. You know.
And yet, hold on. This is not related to Hogan, but because you lack critical thinking and industry and wrestling knowledge and just storytelling, right? All because, let's just talk about Jade Cargill. Just because you think someone is not getting a shot and you can't think critically, say, hey, oh, they're racist because she can't get it. Bro, she was a champion. She can't cut promos really well. She got to work on that, make opportunities for herself to make promos to get better at it. It doesn't mean because they took the belt that they're racist. It's easy to say you're racist versus actually think critically and figure out, hey, why they made her drop the belt to live. Was it Liv Morgan? Who she dropped the belt to?
No, to Rhea Ripley.
So to Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Why they made her drop the belt? It's not because they're racist, bro. It's because you have to have the ability as a wrestler, a performer, to sell the story, carry the weight of the championship, be the face.
I think
she was struggling.
I think what happened, I think
she was struggling.
They were trying to push her.
And it's okay. You got to work on it.
I just saw it. They were just trying to push her. They try to push her. That's what it was. You can tell, because I'm going to call for what it is. She has the look.
She does.
Because if you look at her, she has the look.
She's a good looking. She got the look of a wrestler, muscular.
She's in shape and she's
athletic.
She's good looking. She's a beautiful woman. She just has that, and she's and she just has that look. And I believe, and what these wrestling fans don't understand, because they probably thought, oh, she has potential. They're looking for somebody that can sell. She has a look. She could probably sell. But there's a reason they took that belt from her so early. And it's not that, it has nothing to do with that. And I'm sure, listen, it happens. You drop the ball. You know what? You drop the ball. And I'm going to call for what it is. You got to understand. Look at the ratings.
Bro, Jey Uso, he had to drop the belt. No one said it was not racist that he dropped the belt. No, it was because, guess what? There's just certain limitations to a wrestling character.
Listen,
and it's the individual that makes the belt, not the belt that makes the individual.
There's a reason Jey Uso is a tag team again with Jimmy. I mean, it is what it is, man. I'm calling, he did not have a good run. I'm sorry. Listen, he can't talk in the mic either. If you watch today, the Usos, Jimmy does most of the talking for him, bro.
Yeah.
You don't see it? It's Jimmy.
Yeah.
It's because I've seen him talking to Mike, and I understand how wrestling works. Because we've seen the industry, and that's the whole point. What this got to do with everything?
Can you tell a story? Can you sell?
Exactly. What this got to do with Hulk Hogan? This has everything to do with Hulk Hogan, because that is the whole point. What can you do when it's time for you to get that belt? When it's time for you to become the man? Okay, what are you gonna do with it?
Can you transcend the business?
Can you change it? Hold on. Can you change the culture?
Of the business.
Which Hogan did. He changed the culture.
Yes, he did.
What?
Who's the only other one that changed the culture? Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's the only other one that changed the culture, pop culture.
If anything, two wrestlers. Now I'm gonna think about it. Only two wrestlers in history did that: Hogan and Stone Cold. That's it.
Pop culture changed.
As
only two of them.
As Roman is right now, Roman ain't do that.
Nah.
As good as he is, and I like Roman Reigns. I'm a fan, by the way.
Yeah, we're a fan of Roman Reigns.
I acknowledge
100%.
I acknowledge the OTC. We acknowledge him. I think he's cool as hell. I think he's dope.
The man. He's the man. The best. But right now, he's the best to do it.
And he's a brother in Christ.
Exactly.
He's a brother in Christ.
Absolutely.
And so is Hogan. But guess what? Only two wrestlers in history did that: Hogan and Stone Cold.
That's it. Oh, and D-Generation X as a group. Chopped it up.
But I'm talking about like
individually. You're right. Only Hogan and Stoken.
Boy, Hogan did it twice.
Yeah, Hogan did it 2 times.
2 times. And guess what? In the WCW, he was past his prime and he did it.
Past his prime. It just goes to show you, man.
That's a genius.
It goes to show you that today, there will be no WWE today without the work of Hulk Hogan and what he did for the industry and pop culture wrestling.
He paved the way for the WWE.
Yes, he did. He paved the way.
They wouldn't be the WWE universe. They won't be no WWE universe without Hogan paving the way.
And without the Hulkamaniacs paving the way. Exactly. The fans is what creates wrestling at the end of the day. At the end of the day, right? The universe. So Hogan got so much controversy. We talked about the whole racist thing.
Yeah.
He apologized. He admitted he was wrong. That's it, right? Some kind of issue with him. There come a point in his life where his convictions about what he believed became more important to what his persona was to the public.
Let me tell you.
He got saved.
Mm-hmm. Praise God, man.
He got saved, right? Then he believed strongly about the American values.
Mm-hmm.
And his values aligned with what, at that time, Trump was running for the presidency at that time.
That. Yeah.
And his values aligned with what Trump was running for.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did, he went on the greatest Republican convention of all time ever done. Why it was the greatest? Because Hogan made it the greatest. It would not be the same if Hogan wasn't there, right?
Did you know?
It's the most remembered one because Hogan made the appearance.
Did you know? You saw the documentary? Trump said it that he said that he never had. Remember and Trump had a lot of conventions. Trump didn't have ratings that high.
No,
that's because Hogan was on it.
You had a megastar show up and blow up the place. Hogan can only do that. Only him,
bro. And Trump pulls numbers. Trump couldn't even pull numbers like Trump. Trump said it. He said, Trump was surprised. Trump didn't even he can't even do numbers like that. This is what I'm saying. This is a megastar who, outside of wrestling, the amount of influence and fans, the presence that bro, this is what I'm trying to tell you. So I will argue, yes, whether you like it or not, Hogan was one of the best to ever do it.
Yes.
You know what? He was one of the best. And you me tell you something. When I was watching that documentary, I respected the hell out of Hogan. When I saw that how he stood for his convictions.
Yeah.
I respect. I was like, wow, he stood on it no matter the backlash.
He stood on business,
bro. He didn't. And I remember Hogan at first, because, Hogan was, at first, he was nervous because he said, this was the first time that he was going to, he's never, he
talk about what he believed
about politics and he always kept it to himself.
Yeah.
And because he knew that it was going to shake, he knew that, oh my God, that this could divide his fan base.
Yeah.
Because he, remember he had all types of fans on both sides. He had conservatives and liberals. He had all his fans. But the fact that he stood on his convictions no matter what, that tells you a lot.
It says a lot about him. And I tell you, man, A couple of weeks later, he shows up to L.A. on one of those.
I remember.
It was like
it was because because Raw at that time, WWE Raw was going to be on Netflix for the first time.
Yes,
yes, when it started.
And who better to open up the show than pretty much the godfather of the WWE, which is Hulk Hogan, to do it at that level.
This guy paid
it's
the way.
Pretty much him.
Yeah, of course they're going to but
they booed. He felt a little bit but what you expect from people from LA, bro? I mean, it's not a surprise.
Bro, this is
no one should be shocked.
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
No one should be shocked.
I watched Raw I remember watching Raw when it first was on Netflix. I wasn't surprised. It's a blue state. It's California, bro. Like, come on, bro.
People are trying to escape California now still.
We're talking about California here, the backbone of liberals, all right?
Yeah,
that is those are the heart, the liberals are the heart and beat of California. you know what I'm saying? Like, they thought but when I saw that, they thought by booing him, they thought they were doing something. You still couldn't, you still didn't hurt his legacy. You didn't, and that's what a lot of these people don't understand. Like, okay, that's just California.
You actually did him a favor, because remember, when you're a heel and they boo you, that's good.
First of all, you
did him a favor.
First of all, you forget Hogan's been booed before. Like, this guy's been in this guy's been in the industry for
decades.
Decades. We're talking about decades, dude.
Bro, fast forward a couple weeks forward, a couple months forward, I don't know when. He shows up to where?
New York.
Madison Square Garden. The garden he made famous for the WWE, to be quite frankly.
Which is a blue state also.
It is a blue state, guys, but guess what? They love him.
And New York got a bunch of weird lefties there, too.
But they love Hogan. It don't matter.
I saw that the love he was getting in New York.
Oh, they love him. They don't care.
Bro, what he did for Madison's, come on, bro.
What he did for wrestling, the pop culture, for Madison Square Garden, bro. When you think of Madison Square Garden, well, you think of what? You think of Muhammad Ali, and you think of Hulk Hogan.
Oh, that's a fact.
You think of Elvis. Bro, these are pop culture names beyond the industry they are in. And obviously, you think of the Knicks, right? Got it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Not as big as Hulk Hogan, though.
It's just right now. It's because Knicks is...
They're in the playoffs.
Right
now,
I think they just...
It is
they're
what
in,
it
they're in
is.
the Eastern Conference Finals right now. That's what it is.
But you feel me?
I'm not a Knicks fan anyway, so I don't really care about the Knicks.
But he took it to another level, bro, and they showed him mad love. And the point is, just because you get so offended easily online, you get offended and no one agree, like they don't agree with your politics or your personal value system. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that your booing and online comments is going to diminish megastar's legacy, like
you can't.
Hulk Hogan.
You can't do that. Like, you can't. Like,
bro, we get crazy comments now. We don't give a damn, bro. We cut different. We're from a different time. We're not easily crushed by people's online comments. Thank you. Thank you for the attention, guys. Thank you for the hate.
You know what going back is, they tried canceling Hulk Hogan. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
How can you beat the guy? The guy, but towards the end, Hogan, you saw his health got bad towards the end. It was sad, his health. The guy was walking on a cane after a while. Yeah. But Hogan did overdo it. But this guy's been wrestling, but wrestling does put wear and tear.
Yeah, man. I mean, his body paid the price for what he did.
In my opinion, I think he did it longer than I think he did too much. He been on more where he can chew. And I believe, because I was watching a documentary, it was after a while, man, he was walking on a cane, bro.
Yeah, man. So, as we all know, he passed away. He's with the Lord, man. He's a born-again Christian. He's with the Lord. We did the show to show people that just because you disagree with someone's issues doesn't diminish the value they brought to America, the world, pop culture, He did something very positive
That's
for
right.
the industry and for our nation, man. And so that's today's show. That was episode 54, current events. We talked about the Border Patrol sting operation, arresting those 27 freaking sickos for possession of child pornography material with distributions and all that. They arrested them, they deported them back to their country, and we gave homage to Hulk Hogan, who was one of the greatest to ever do it. And so that's today's show, guys. Go to our YouTube channel, press the subscribe, V.D.R. podcast, like, share, comment. Go to our audio, Apple, Spotify, press follow. You're not going to miss an episode ever there. Check out our website, the vdrpodcast.podbean.com. You never miss an episode anywhere. Thank you today, guys. Bro, take us out.
That's it. Thank you for watching today's show. Thank you for watching the best podcast in the world, in America, in South America, North America, throughout the whole globe. Amen. Your mom's house, your family's house. Thank you. All right. Testing the waters right now. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for the best. Thank you. Shout out to everybody. First we want to thank you for watching. Thank you for all our supporters. Thank you for our haters. Thank you for all those nasty comments we've been receiving. I think they were so supportive.
Your mother will be very proud.
I love the comments. They're so supportive. I see them. I watch them. My heart, I feel so happy when I see it. It's like, wow, the amount of love we get. So thank you. Thank you for all my haters. Haters, you are, you are holding this podcast together.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
You are the heart and soul of V.D.R. podcast. It's not the people be like, it's not your negative comments is the heart and soul of this podcast. And I need you to keep bringing it on. We need you. So whatever, if you got some ideas out there, some topics that could trigger you more, just shoot it out there. I'm sure, and just remember, this is the best podcast in the world. So please like and subscribe to hit that button on YouTube, subscribe, share this with your friends, and share it with your friends, your families, especially listen, tell your little liberal families to stop watching CNN and watch VDR podcasts. Tell your children to put that crap down. Stop watching these perverted, nasty, demonic cartoons and watch the VDR podcast where they could be educated.
That's right.
Because we're the best podcast in the world, all right? So God bless you. Amen.
All right.
Amen. All right, and that's it. That's it for today's show. Remember, God bless America. Jesus loves you, and we're out.